All right. Okay. Well, we'll get started now that we have a good amount of folks in the room. My name is Jessica Keegan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm coming to you from the Office of Economic Empowerment, who hosts Worth and Wealth. I'll just give you a little bit of an intro and some housekeeping before we go ahead with the presentation. So today's Worth and Wealth is talking about going digital with Elizabeth Thomas. Elizabeth is here from the Mass FinTech Hub, which is very exciting. I know this is a hot topic, especially when it comes to digital resources, as we are in a digital meeting right now. So we'll let Elizabeth talk a little bit more and introduce herself in just a few moments. But of course, I've got to go through the disclosures. You may have noticed that this meeting is being recorded. It's a Zoom meeting, so you can feel free to post in the chat, ask us questions. It is subject to public record laws, and as such is not anonymous. But if you need to ask any sort of questions, they will show up as anonymous if you so choose. Feel free to ask any questions you'd like in the chat during the session, and we'll try to pass those along to Elizabeth in those moments as they're relevant, but we will also have some time for questions at the end. Okay, I am going to post the attendance in the chat in just a moment. When we do that, make sure to fill it out if you would like to qualify for the financial advisor, the free financial coaching. Remember, you do need to have 3 sessions to be able to qualify for the free financial coaching. I'll post that in just a minute. As well as we're nearing the end of the season for Worth and Wealth, if you'd like to share any feedback, I will post a link for some reflections there too. And on that same vein, we do have a wrap-up event for Worth and Wealth on Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. So just on the normal timeline will be the Worth and Wealth wrap-up. So please do join it if you would like. We'll have a lot of returning partners who presented there and a few of our partner circle members there as well. So they'll all be there. And if you'd like to go, definitely feel free to put it on your calendars already. But I will stop sharing my screen and I'll introduce Sheila from Harbor One, who will be going through a little bit more about Harbor One's resources as our featured partner circle for this week. So I'll stop sharing my screen right now and let Sheila go ahead.
Great, thank you, Jessica. So as she mentioned, I'm Sheila Farragher from Harbor One Bank, and I am the manager of our community education. So Harbor One has been around for over 100 years, and our corporate office is in Brockton, but we have branches all throughout 20 branches throughout Massachusetts and 9 in Rhode Island. And you know, we really pride ourselves in customer service. So the branches that we have in Massachusetts, you can see right here, we're in Bristol, Suffolk, Norfolk, and Middlesex in Plymouth counties. And one of the things that, one of the reasons why I love working at Harbor One so much is our commitment to the community. We've invested over 1.5 million in nonprofits just this past year, and we focus on providing support for affordable housing, basic human needs, and education and civic and community. And additionally, we have awarded over the past 8 years, $800,000 in college scholarships, and I'll share another slide. But we do $25,000 scholarships, and actually the application is open right now. So it's a merit-based scholarship for high school seniors, and you do need to be a customer of Harbor One, but you have right up until the deadline to become a customer. And in the area that I'm in with Harbor One U is we do a lot of financial education, not only with youth, but we reached over 500 youth with financial education. It's so important, you know, to be providing financial ed as early as possible. So I'm very passionate about that. And so this is our website, and it's available. And interestingly, with the, you know, kind of going digital in 2020, we realized that we needed to get our financial educational tools on our website and to be able to be digital, because we weren't able to go out into the community to do all the presentations. So we're like, you know what, we need to get all of our resources on our website. So we have personal financial education tools and small business education tools. And I encourage you all to go onto our website and check it out. They're free for all to use. And in this digital, for the digital resources, we have the Financial Education Center, which is a number of modules that you know, anywhere from financial foundations to planning for retirement to home ownership. There's all sorts of resources. We have home buyer resources, and then we have recordings in multiple languages on setting goals and budgeting and credit. So please feel free to access all of these. And then we have just some community partners and their resources. Great resources out there for different organizations throughout Massachusetts, in Rhode Island, that are able to support individuals, and there's a lot of financial coaching, things like that out there. And then, you know, we have youth programs and webinars. Oh, you know what? I didn't have the slide with the scholarship, but I just, you know, want to mention that I'll stop sharing that the scholarship program is, you can find the information is on our website. Actually, I can even provide it to you, Jessica. You know what? I'll put it in the chat while Elizabeth is going. I'll provide a link. But as I mentioned, you know, the scholarship is open now through April 1st. And it's for high school seniors. And as I mentioned, that we award $25,000 scholarships. And I will turn it back over to you, Jessica.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sheila. I dropped the link to harbor1.com/harbor1u in the chat. Definitely at the Office of Economic Empowerment. We love accessible and free financial education, so definitely check that out. And thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing this, your locations, and also the information about that scholarship, which, Sheila, you feel free to drop that in the chat. If you'd like to share your contact, you definitely can. But we'll go ahead and give Elizabeth the spotlight. So Elizabeth Thomas is here from the Massachusetts FinTech Hub and is going to be talking to you all today. So I will stop sharing my screen and let Elizabeth take the wheel. If you do have any questions for Sheila, please feel free to put them in the chat, as she'll be sticking around for just a moment before she goes on with her evening. So definitely put your questions in the chat and we'll take it away with Elizabeth.
Okay, great. So I got a thumbs up, so I'm assuming you can see the slides. I'm getting a nod, so I'm assuming you can hear me. So we have some great progress already. So thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you to the Office of Economic Empowerment for asking me to participate today. And thank to all of you for joining. You know, during the time that we have together, I hope to share how FinTech can help you learn to build wealth, how it can be a tool to help you do that and become more confident in your financial futures. So I work for an organization actually called the FinTech Sandbox, and Mass FinTech Hub is a program under that. But at FinTech Sandbox, you know, we believe that FinTech is no longer a niche. It's becoming part of, you know, everything that we do every day. It's growing. So it's great that you're learning, you know, more about FinTech and how that can help you. So I'm really excited to chat with you about this today. So I've actually worked with FinTech companies in the FinTech world for about 10 years now. So when I first started working with FinTech firms, I was really excited because it's a, you know, really exciting technology. It has the power to help people, you know, build their own personal financial wealth and freedom. And I joined last week and I loved what the speaker said, but, you know, I really agree that, you know, wealth is having choices, having freedom. And so FinTech, again, is just one of those tools that can help you do that. So my presentation today, I'm going to cover, what is fintech? It's kind of this jargony word, but what does that actually mean to you? I'm going to share just a personal example of how I used it to help myself, back when I was a grad with loads of student debt and no clue what financial literacy was. We're going to talk about how fintech can help you build your wealth, what you should look for when choosing a fintech solution. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I know that's a hot topic that people have a lot of questions about. And then I'll talk about how to implement fintech successfully. So hopefully those topics are appealing, and you'll learn something in the next little while that we have together. So next slide, here we go. So like I mentioned, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of these organizations, and we'll move right along. But so Fintech Sandbox, what we actually do is we're an organization where we are a nonprofit, and we give data to startups so that they can build out their fintech solutions. And that's really important because fintech, data is the lifeblood of fintech. So, when you're using your apps, when you're, doing things online, you're kind of feeding those fintech solutions, and they're able to give you, maybe more personalized recommendations or what have you. So just something to think about, how exciting all this data is to help with fintech and your wealth building journey. So under Fintech Sandbox, we have the Mass Fintech Hub, and that's where we're supporting the fintech industry in Massachusetts. So we do things like, help fintechs connect with big corporates. We teach people how to get a career in fintech. So we have career fairs, we have a job board, we have mentoring, we have tons of programs to help people with that. And then we also help fintech startups grow and become kind of the next Apple Pay solution or whatever. So it's a long journey, but we're working on that, and all of our programs are free. They're open to the public. So if anything I've mentioned here sparks your interest, I'll share our events page in our newsletter at the end so you can learn a bit more about fintech. And then the last thing is we also put on Boston Fintech Week in the fall. So we had about 1,000 participants last year. We put on about 56 events, and 19 of them were open to the community and the public. So again, if what I'm talking about sparks your interest for maybe a career, have a look at bostonfintechweek.com and learn about what we're doing. We'd love to have you join. So a question for you, and let me get the chat going. Okay, so how many of you are already active fintech users? I'd love to see, maybe you could put an emoji that represents your fintech experience. Maybe you are the smiley face with the dollar bill tongue, or maybe you're the runner running away from fintech. But yeah, I'd love to just see kind of your experience, or hear about you guys so I can help tailor this more to help you. So not yet. All right, great. Well, there's plenty of opportunity then. Great, looking to learn. Oh, someone is maybe a little frustrated, scared. Oh, what's that question? Can you explain it one more time? So this app is just, are you using fintech? Is there an emoji that expresses your experience with fintech or your interest level? Great, someone really wants to know more, so that's awesome. Great, well, maybe if you are using it, is there a solution that you're using? Oh, Sheila, okay, great, happy to share what fintech is with you. The definition, I'm going to put that on the next slide. So perfect. Maybe I'll move along because it sounds like we have a lot of people who are maybe more on the newbie side. So we can talk more about that. So yeah, what exactly is this word fintech, right? So it sounds pretty complex, but it's really just the intersection of finance and technology, and it's an incredible tool that can help build wealth for you. So as much as it's a helpful tool, it also can be a tool where you are it's much easier to spend money maybe go in the wrong direction. So it's really just facilitating financial transactions, whether that's, you know, person to person or business to business. And it really comes in many shapes. I'm sure some of them you're already using on a daily basis, whether that's, you know, Venmo, you know, even your apps from your bank on your phone. So I would imagine a lot of you are maybe using it more than you realize. And so maybe you're more confident than you realize, and there's maybe some more opportunity to bring more tools in. So like I mentioned, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, but then there's a lot of opportunity to spend money. So I don't know if any of you are using, not to pick on them, but Afterpay. So that's a great example of, you know, last year a lot of stories came out because it's this tool that lets you buy something really quickly, but then spread the payments over, you know, a few months. And then people actually got into a bit of trouble. You know, you could read about it in the New York Times, where they put all these purchases on Afterpay, and then they realized, you know, they didn't quite have the financing to pay for the purchase over the few months that they had to pay for. So, you know, as much as we're thinking about fintech as a tool, we just have to think about, you know, what are our goals and what's the kind of the long-term implications of any of these tools that we use. And then I had mentioned the word Bitcoin. I know for my husband, whenever I mention fintech, he thinks, oh, Bitcoin. And so I explained to him, no, Bitcoin is just one tool that is under the fintech umbrella. And, you know, it can help people in certain ways, but it's also something just to be aware of, you know, and really think about, is that helpful for you building wealth given, you know, what I'm going to share. And then, like I mentioned, at FinTech Sandbox, we say every company is becoming a fintech company. So I like to give the example of Apple. So when I was younger, they made computers. I was telling someone I was using a Mac back in the day, you know, when I was in grade school, one of those big ones with the colorful sides. Then they moved on to phones. And now, you know, you can pay for something with your Apple Watch. Apple has a bank. I'll come to that question. Thank you. Apple has their own bank. You could open a credit card with Apple. So I think we're going to be seeing that more and more from different companies who they want to get into the fintech game too, because, you know, there's a lot of definitely money to be made. There's a lot of opportunity. So as these solutions come out, it's just good to be smart and aware and use them as tools that can help you go down the right path of building wealth rather than, you know, take you away from your goals. So we got a great question. I mentioned Afterpay. So how does that different from credit cards? So with Afterpay, it's usually about maybe 4 payments. I haven't used it myself, but it's 4 payments. And then if you pay on time, you're not paying interest. The issue is when you do pay later or you miss a payment, you obviously have interest and fees. Credit cards, somewhat similar. And actually, I've seen credit cards are now offering, some of them, an Afterpay-like solution. And so with a credit card, if you pay it off within, you know, the monthly cycle, there's usually no fee, no interest. But obviously, a lot of people end up racking up balances and they have payment and interest over months or years. And that's where a credit card becomes a tool taking away from, you know, financial wealth. I'm sure many of you are aware of this, but so that's how credit cards and Afterpay differ. Afterpay usually has a set period of a few months to pay back. Great. So thank you for the question. Please feel free to keep them coming. I'm going to just move on to my own experience. So I had mentioned, you know, when I graduated college, I certainly could have benefited from a program like this. So I really commend you all for joining us tonight. So I just want to share, you know, I'm going to move across from more of a basic, simple solution to the fintech angle. But so when I graduated, you know, 2008, we're in the middle of this financial crisis. I have all this student debt and I had no clue. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. So basically, I knew I needed to make a change. I needed to learn. So I started with the most basic financial literacy. I went to the Boston Public Library and I took out books on financial education. One that really spoke to me was actually this one, All Your Worth, and it was written by the now Senator Elizabeth Warren. So I had no idea who this woman was when I picked up the book, and she became famous, which I thought was interesting as I grow in my financial journey, watching her grow in her career. But basically, what I really liked about this book was they gave guidelines and they gave some suggested formulas, especially around what she calls like the 50-30-20 budget rule. And so that was a great way for me to think about, the money coming in, what am I doing with it? She recommends, half to your needs, maybe 20% to your savings, and the rest for, things that you enjoy, because, you still have to live even as you're building your financial journey. So obviously, everyone can adjust that to what fits for them, but I thought that was a really great way to start going about that. So from there, I took this knowledge and I started to go online and look at, what are my options as I look at my accounts, as I start opening bank accounts and building my wealth. And some of the ones that really helped me was Mint. So Mint has been around since about 2009, and what they do is actually give you a holistic picture of your finances. So at the time, you could connect your credit cards, your debts, all of your accounts, and it would help you just get a full picture and then do budgeting. So you could, plan out and actually hopefully watch your wealth move in the right direction. But it was just that, overview and the ability to do it all in one place that was really helpful for me. Mint is actually, they're shutting down in a few months. So I do have some other services that you could use, such as You Need a Budget, Good Budget, Pocket Guard. And then another one I think is interesting is Honeydew. And that's similar to Mint, but you can actually do it with a partner or a roommate. So you guys are working together on maybe a savings journey or something. Those are some other options you could use. I did see someone asked about the privacy question in the chat. And so, yeah, that is one thing to be aware of. If you're sharing your data with these, companies, you are giving up some privacy. So, it's a trade-off that you can make. You can choose not to make it, of course. And so, for some of them, I choose to, for some, I don't. So, for instance, Credit Karma, that's another one where you're giving over your social security number. They're looking at your credit. So you have to trust that it's a company that's going to safeguard it. And I'll go through a few kind of markers of quality to think about when you're, picking the solution. But, like everything in life has some risk to it. So, it's up to you to determine, is the value I'm going to get from this solution worth it? Do I trust that they're going to do the best to, protect my data? And you just have to kind of make the judgment call. So, I think that's kind of my take on it. But yeah, I think I can show you some more tips when we get down there. The other thing, just wanted to mention, we had a great bank, Harbor One. I think they came to visit. So, when you think about your banking solutions, you have people in the community, but there's also online banking solutions. And so at the time I went to ING, now Capital One, because by using these services in the middle, NerdWallet, Bankrate, those are some online publications I like to read or follow, because they can really help you understand, if I'm looking for a new savings account, what's the best interest rate I can get, or what are the bank accounts with the most fees or the most, issues. So, it's just kind of doing your research, and those are some options that I really like. So if you are looking to learn more about fintech or finance in general, or compare services, those are some great options. And then I'm getting the question, why is Mint shutting down? That is a great question, and I had looked it up, but I do forget. I think it had something to do with some of their partners. They so they actually are owned by the same company as Credit Karma, which is still running, and they're actually taking on some of the features. But I think it was just like a business decision that they're repositioning. It's nothing problematic, or at least that I'm aware of. But yeah, it's just a business decision, I guess. So I'm gonna move forward, and yeah, thank you for the questions. Please keep them coming. Great. So I also just want to say on that, whatever tool is working for you is the best tool, right? So if it's one of those service providers, or it's even just a notebook, if that's what's working, that's great. I use a lot of these fintech services, but then I also just use a Google Sheets document to keep organized. So I'm very supportive of whatever's getting you on your financial journey. But some of the ways that fintech can really help you build your wealth is just right here. So I'll show you some fintechs that we work with at the Mass Fintech Hub, but there are opportunities to, just improve your financial literacy. So understanding the different types of accounts, maybe some suggested formulas for budgeting or saving for retirement. A lot of fintechs can help you learn from that. Some are free, some are paid. I know we like free sources, which is why I also love to hype the library. But then, yeah, so you have that. Obviously, making and receiving payments. I got a lot of questions last night about Venmo, Cash App. I'm sure many of you are using these or other similar services. Obviously, help you save money, earn the interest in your savings. That's always great. Of course, improve credit. So we talked about the Credit Karma example, investing for your future. And then really, I'll show you some other new and innovative fintechs that are doing other things that once you have your kind of basics down, you could always think about where are some other ways I could protect myself and build my wealth. So happy to share that. And then just want to again point out, there's so many free tools out there. So you really should be able to find fintech solutions that will help you for free. But again, the cost might be your data privacy. And if that's something that's important to you, then just keep that in mind. And the other thing I just wanted to make sure that I shared is, yeah, so sorry, actually I got a question in the chat. So is Mass Fintech a government agency or private? So it's actually a public-private partnership. So it's partially funded by the state of Massachusetts and some of our large corporations. So your Mass Mutual is actually Citizens, who also funds this series. They fund the Mass Fintech Hub as well. So it's a nonprofit public-private partnership. Great. How can fintech help you save for retirement? That's such a great question. So I'll get to that in a second. Here we go. So basically, the Mass Fintech Hub, we did a study of how many fintechs are actually based in Massachusetts, and we had Ernst & Young. They're a big consulting company, and in 2020 they found that there are 350 fintechs just in Massachusetts, and they're popping up all the time because there's obviously a great need for people to help build their wealth. There's a lot of technology being created. We're seeing new technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, machine learning. So all of these tools can be behind really cool fintech solutions, but what's really important at the end of the day is how does it help, the consumer? How does it help you build your wealth? And that's really what I focus on. So, I just highlighted a few of these. Some of them sell to business, some to consumer. So companies like Prosperon, I really enjoy what they do because they actually do financial modeling for young people. So, if you have a certain budget or, you're in a certain financial situation and then you wanted to buy a house or you missed a credit card payment, what would that do to your financial situation? And so Prosperon can actually help you with your financial modeling in that way. And again, I'm just sharing this to open your mind to the type of fintech solutions that are out there. I'm not necessarily endorsing any one of these solutions, but just kind of sharing and hopefully getting you excited about new opportunities. Obviously loans, it's so very easy to get a loan online now. So maybe that is helping you build your financial wealth, maybe not. And also companies like, once you've built that initial knowledge base, you feel more confident. I'd say like the next level for fintech is potentially insurance. So how do you insure, what you already have? So we work with Insurify, so they're an insurance marketplace. So similar to when you want to book a flight, you might go to Expedia, you might go to Google Flights and see what the options are. But companies like Insurify that we work with, they could help you in a similar way find, home insurance, auto insurance, whatever, to protect the assets that you already have. So that's a really cool thing about these, marketplaces popping up that can help you find different options for financial solutions. And then Surround Insurance, they do something very similar. And then I was asked the question, how can fintech help you save for retirement? So I would imagine if you're thinking about opening a retirement account, so maybe you work with E-Trade or Fidelity. So these are great solutions. They have their apps, they have all sorts of options to help you, invest your money, and then you could use potentially services that I mentioned previously to learn about financial wellness and get advice. Or I think there was a help an offer to meet with a financial advisor if you complete enough of these sessions. So talking with them about what might be a good goal, and then you could always use a fintech such as one of those big guys, or some of these actually at the bottom, they do investing. So I know Pebble Finance, they do investing, so you would invest through those apps. Another thing that was really interesting in the past few years was called robo-advising. Yeah, thank you for the correction, Jessica. Robo-advising, and you could actually, an AI tool would adjust your retirement allocation based on, the market conditions, or, maybe you had a high risk profile for investing when you were younger, you wanted to invest in stocks, but as you get closer to retirement, you want to have a lower risk profile, maybe more in bonds or safer investments. And so, AI tools can help manage that money for you. So that's another really cool application of fintech. So, really there's lots of opportunities and options for fintech to help save for retirement. Yeah, so I'm gonna just moving right along. So I know we got lots of questions yesterday around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So I would love to hear from the group, are any of you currently invested in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, or, is there an interest in doing that? Yeah, I'd love to see in the chat. Looks like not yet. Oh. Well, probably from this slide, you can see I'm a little bit more skeptical about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Oh, Martha is interested, so we can talk about that. So basically, both of these technologies, both of these technologies are built on the blockchain. Maybe you've heard that term, but basically it's a really cool technology that has, tons of applications, and just one tiny bit is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But basically what's great about this technology is it's, very secure, it's very transparent, it's decentralized. So a lot of people can have access, they can see it, but they can't change it. So that's supposed to be why it's very secure. Basically that's cool for some applications, but I personally like when I'm investing or putting my money somewhere for it to be a bit more controlled, because things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, they operate kind of outside the normal financial institution and regulations. So there are some regulations, but it's, you know, kind of really the Wild West. There's not really the oversight. If, you know, a lot of these groups that you're investing in, it's not as secure, it's not as stable and monitored and regulated like, you know, cash money or the credit cards you use, or, you know, the bigger banks or investing companies that you might see, you know, in downtown Boston. So just something to be aware of. What, you know, but Bitcoin has, sorry, blockchain has so many different applications. So for instance, people use it to track supply chains, for, you know, identity verification. So it is a really cool technology, but just thinking about how you use it and being smart is definitely what I would advise. So I'm gonna just, okay. So yeah, no one controls Bitcoin. That's really interesting, and that's why the pricing can change constantly. So there's, you know, really high volatility in Bitcoin, and so you probably saw last year it reached these incredible highs. People were coming in, they were buying your Bitcoins, your cryptocurrencies, and then unfortunately, you know, when market conditions changed, the price really came down, and so a lot of people actually lost money, or their investments haven't recovered. And so, you know, that can happen with any investment. It's just with this type of investment, the volatility is much, much higher. So I just want to look, you know, basically anyone can create a cryptocurrency. So, you know, that's just something to be aware of. Some of them may be legitimate, but a lot of them are not. So I just looked at, you know, if you want to build a cryptocurrency, how do you do it? And I Googled it, and there are 103 million hits on how to create a cryptocurrency. So that's cool. If you if you want to create your own, you know, there's plenty of research to help you do that. But there's, you know, that opportunity is also there for other people. And there's actually estimated to be over 20,000 cryptocurrencies. So, you know, with all of that supply of these currencies that anyone can buy into, kind of a little bit risky to put your money there. Whereas there's other kind of more regulated investments, or that's my personal opinion. You know, you might think it's worth the risk. The other thing is, because there's so many, you know, they're susceptible to schemes. You know, it's just, again, not as regulated. And so maybe some of you might remember last year a large crypto trader, BTX, actually collapsed due to improper handling of funds. So many of you, I'm sure, know Tom Brady. You know, they're in Super Bowl commercials promoting this and investing, and actually he's reported to have lost $30 million in this collapse. So, you know, people like to tell you when they're very successful, but not everyone's mentioning it when they've lost money in one of these investments. So just something to be aware of. If you do really want to still invest in a cryptocurrency or Bitcoin because, you know, you believe in it, there are ways to do it where you could de-risk the investment. And so just one example is working with a company like Fidelity, and this is just one option, but they actually have a cryptocurrency investment kind of exchange trade fund. So you're not actually going to you know, they're a regulated company as Fidelity, and you're not going to a, you know, a less regulated company selling these cryptocurrencies. And basically they have an index that kind of tracks. So as the price goes up and down, you could be investing that way. And so while, you know, they can't guarantee the price like of any investment, that's just a slightly more secure way to do it, because you know, it's much more likely that Fidelity, they've been around 100+ years, they'll probably be around a bit longer, and another similar investing company that does similar could have that. But, you know, just really be thoughtful and be aware when you're investing in these Bitcoins and currencies. I'm getting some questions. So how will digital currency impact financial transactions? How do we see the US dollar involvement? So I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but I think that, obviously as these become more popular and more people invest in them, there'll be more opportunities to use Bitcoin or cryptocurrency as, a unit of money for transaction. So, there's definitely opportunity there. I would agree it's growing. Um, you know, I think for the US dollar, I think they'll probably still be, much more commonly accepted for quite some time. I think just, given the stability. So financial services markets, and they like stability, right? They want to know, what's happening. They want to know when the Fed's meeting, when they're raising interest rates. So stability is really kind of the key. There's definitely opportunity in a highly volatile currency for making money, but there's, also the downside risk as well. So I don't see the dollar kind of going away anytime soon, but I do think that these, cryptocurrencies and alternative forms of payment will definitely continue to grow in the future. So, something to keep in mind. Great. So yeah, I also just wanted to talk a bit more about, when you're looking at fintechs, what should you think about? What are some things you should keep in mind? And, I'm going to state the obvious, choose licensed and regulated companies. So if a fintech is moving your money, they need to be licensed. The easiest way to do that is, go to their legal page. Check, I have an example from PayPal. So it lists all their licenses that on their legal page. So you can just see, they're regulated. There's a group that's watching over them. So, again, like nothing is guaranteed in life, but you have a much better chance of successfully, having a good outcome with a regulated company over a non-regulated company. Also look, they may be partnering with another company. Are they partnering with, your bank, another bank? Just kind of be aware. They probably would have had their legal and compliance teams looking at these companies, and it's just a more sure bet. And then something like FDIC insurance. So maybe you're aware, but when you make a deposit in your bank, maybe savings or checking account, they're going to have insurance. So if the bank, unfortunately collapses for whatever reason, you're insured up to, $250,000. So look for, obviously, if you're going to put your money somewhere, that they have a similar insurance. And then I put the examples of Starbucks and Venmo. So a lot of people, they leave a large balance in these types of apps. So Venmo or Starbucks, and while yes, they are, especially Venmo, they have licenses, they're regulated, they actually don't have this insurance. So if something happened to a Venmo or your Starbucks app, Starbucks probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but you never know. That's not insured money. So, I personally, I use the Venmo, I use other apps like that, but whenever I get the payment, I move it right back into my checking account so that it's staying with me. And then also you're earning interest there, whereas you're not earning it in these other apps, unless maybe you're using it in a power way, in a business way, so potentially. And then of course, compare rates and fees. So I use these services I mentioned earlier. They're just online kind of news services, NerdWallet, Bankrate. You can do a lot of comparisons there, but there are many others that are looking at, which fintechs, which financial services companies are giving, the highest yield on a savings account, or which ones don't have as many fees. So definitely do your research. And then I got a question, do we have best practices for avoiding scams or risks? So I think, you know, these are some of the ones I would definitely recommend. Yeah, regulated and licensed companies, that they're partnering with companies that you know. Obviously, just kind of giving some research. So, Googling, do they have a lot of complaints? Or alternatively, is there nothing written about them online? That would be one of my biggest red flags. If no one's working with them, they don't have a lot of employees on their LinkedIn, just kind of no digital footprint, I think would be probably the biggest red flag for me, because anyone can just put up a website and, you know, a credit card reader or something, but to really build out that infrastructure, I think would be important. Again, the license and everything. So I would definitely look at that. And then another thing just to think about is, you know, security. So I think companies that would have, you know, the regulation and the deposit insurance, that's great. But you also just want to be sure, you know, do they have any information on their website on how they're meeting like the highest standards of security? You know, are they using secure websites when you log in? What's their password hygiene? So I think just thinking about things like that when you're looking at a fintech will really help you probably stay in the positive side. Right. And thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. So just talking about, you know, how do we implement this when you're going forward? If you're thinking, you know, you want to look into financial technology solutions that might help you. Again, I think fintech is really, it's just a tool like any other to help you build wealth. So really what you need to do, or what I would recommend, is get really clear about your wealth building goals. You know, is it to pay off debt? Is it to build your savings? Is it to start thinking about retirement? So I would think about what are those goals, and I'm sure the financial advisor can really help you maybe prioritize those. And once you have those clear, then you can start thinking about what solutions could help you. So, and then if you have a bank, I would actually even talk to them, you know, what fintech solutions and tools are they offering already, so that, you know, you can maybe get your feet wet. So, you know, the banks that I work with, and I also use credit union interchangeably with bank. So basically the banks and credit unions that I work with, a lot of them have apps, a lot of them have online portals. I'm sure many of you are using. So, you know, what are the tools that are already available, and really just familiarizing yourself, you know, what are the benefits? What am I getting out of this? Are these good rates? You know, just kind of getting a holistic picture, and really educating yourself on what's already there. If you don't yet have any bank account, then I would really, you know, strongly encourage you to open one up. You know, you can use some of these resources that I mentioned to find an online one, or potentially there's one in your community. So I would really stress that's pretty critical. And, you know, once you kind of have the basics, you know, your building blocks for your financial wealth, then I would think about these additional areas where fintech solutions could help you build your wealth. And I know I shared on that slide some ideas, but, you know, we work with fintech companies that actually help you find a cheaper mortgage. We work with fintech companies that do interesting things that actually help you, you know, transfer wealth to the next generation. So a lot of people don't think about, like, it's not fun to talk about, but like end of life. So, you know, fintechs can help you create a will, create a plan, so that when, you know, you pass, unfortunately, then you can transfer your assets to kind of the next generation. So, you know, fintech solutions, they can do anything, almost anything with your wealth. So it's just really thinking about, you know, what do you want to accomplish, and kind of then looking at some of these resources and seeing, you know, which are the tools that could help you get there. And then also, we mentioned the word security, I'm sure a few times, in privacy before, but when you're working with these solutions, you know, really do the best to protect yourself. So strong passwords, of course, and then if you can, enable two-factor authentication. I know it's annoying, but it's really helpful and secure. So it protects your account, it protects your wealth, and just being really smart about that. So moving along. So, if you've learned something about fintech, or you want to get more involved, the Mass FinTech Hub has a ton of resources, like I mentioned at the beginning. So we have our job board. There's about 800 jobs in fintech and financial services, I think last I checked, on our job board. So you could always check that out and see if there was something there. We have our newsletter where we share what's happening in fintech in Massachusetts. We also talk about a lot of events happening. Again, most of them are free and open to the public. And then, of course, we have the events that we put on. And so our next event that we're having is actually for young people. So maybe you've graduated college, and if you're thinking about high school or college, and you're looking at fintech careers, we're hosting a little boot camp at Stonehill College on February 24th. And we'll have executives kind of talking about how to get a career in fintech. So if you were really interested in learning more, would love to, that's always an option. So yeah, that's what I had. So I'm going to stop sharing, but I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions. So I'd love to hear from you guys and just talk through more about, how fintech could help you build your wealth. So last night I got some questions on like cryptocurrency or different applications that people are using. So I'd love to chat more if you have any questions. Oh, how to get in the newsletter. Yeah, absolutely. I will put the newsletter link there. Yana, you have a lot of great questions. Thank you.
Hi, this is Sheila. I'm just
Hi.
curious. Hi. Thanks so much for all of your knowledge sharing tonight.
Sure.
I'm just curious, like, can you explain a little bit? Like, I understand the basic functions of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, right? Like, it's unregulated, people trade it, like, but I don't really understand. And I gotta be quite honest, like, the only people I ever hear about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin or whatever is like bros, right? Like Tom Brady's like, oh yeah, crypto. I don't know any women who are investing in crypto. Like, I don't think it's really explained well for the female population. It might be an access thing. I don't know. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Like, what is it really? How do you buy into it? Like, how do you sell it? Yeah, I'd love to know.
Okay, so I'm not the biggest expert on crypto. I don't really believe in it. That's my personal opinion. I think it's highly risky. Other people think it's great. So yeah, basically what you're buying is basically a file. So the blockchain is this technology that is creating these like files, and that's what you're buying. And so it's supposed to be very secure. And since it's decentralized, the data is living in multiple places. And so you're buying a file that is like in the internet. So I don't know. That's why I don't really believe in it. I guess like you could say like a stock, you're buying an idea, a piece of paper, but where that's backed up by like the company has to present their earnings every quarter, and there's some accountability. Whereas if you're just buying a file, it's based on marketing and hype. So I think personally for me, I would put my money in something more concrete. So how do you get into it? You're going to have to find a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency wallet trader. So I don't work with any of them, but BTX was a big example. And so basically you send them money and then you buy Bitcoin that way. So you can also actually, there are Bitcoin and Bitcoin ATMs now, so you could potentially withdraw your cash from one of these ATMs, but it's not as accessible because it's not as regulated. So a lot of the big companies are, they're watching from afar, and so I personally am. I think I made it pretty clear. Not a huge fan, but some people think that it's a great opportunity.
And I'm not endorsing Fidelity or saying anything like this, but if you want to check out some more information from, say, a trusted resource, I'll paste this link in the chat, which you can also, I know people are having troubles with links in the chat, but you can just look up Fidelity and cryptocurrency. So they have some like modules you can do for free about cryptocurrency for all investor levels. So maybe that'll be helpful. Fidelity does run, I manage the Baby Steps Savings Plan for the Office of Economic Empowerment, which is a 529 or like a college savings account. And we use Fidelity to manage those investments. So just food for thought. And I thought about the point that you were saying about how it's all bros just doing Bitcoin, which is so true. But I posted one of our Money Talk Tuesdays in the chat earlier, which was with the Security and Exchange Commission, which is, the big head honchos who do that. And it was a panel of 2 guys and 2 girls. And so if those girls can girl boss their way all the way to the top of the SEC to talk about Bitcoin, I think that you can too. So had to jumped in there, Elizabeth, but had to say that.
No, of course. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Jessica.
And Elizabeth, if you want to send me the sign up for the newsletter, I'm
Oh
happy
yeah,
to
of
make sure that
course.
goes out in the follow-up email as well.
Oh yeah, I can. There we go. Oop. So yeah, I mean, we've had some great questions. We have time for a few more if anyone wants to chat. Well, getting a lot of thank yous, so that might be everyone's heard enough of fintech and Bitcoin today. But I just want to say thank you all for joining. I really enjoyed this, and definitely, yeah, I hope you got something out of it that's useful, and good luck on your wealth building journey.
This was helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, great.
Thank you for the stellar session, Elizabeth. That was awesome. I'll make sure that you all get those links, and this will be recorded if you ever want to revisit it. But thank you, everybody, for sharing your Wednesday night. And thank you again, Elizabeth, for that really great dive on that information.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Have a great night, all.